So we all had to sort of stay still, so we didn't get in their way because no one knows where they're going.
Yeah.
Cars,
But they're going there really fast.
Yeah.
yeah.
Hello and welcome to the Evo podcast. James Taylor with you for this one, joined by Dickie Meaden,
Hi, James.
Sam Jenkins,
Hello.
and John Barker.
Hello.
And it's good to be back. It's been a little while since we've all been round a table.
Emerged blinking from Christmas torpor, haven't we?
Slightly terrified by the oncoming magazine deadline.
Yeah, exactly.
But we've got loads to catch up on. I've been looking at a one-off Bugatti. Sam's been hands-on with the new Toyota GT sports car. John's been doing some really high-tech stuff in Germany, powered by AI and hydrogen. Mm-hmm. And Dickie's been driving a kind of modern Can-Am car designed by an F1 designer.
Yeah.
But before we get into any of that, Sam, you've just got back from the Dakar, and I'm really keen to hear.
I'm so envious of you for going there.
Yeah,
It's amazing.
I'd never seen it before, and I hadn't even been to many rally events before, off-roading events. I've done Le Mans 24 Hours a few times and N24, and those events are obviously massive. They're huge. The scale of them is huge. The grid is huge. But Dakar is it's on another level. It's ridiculous. Like I think this year it was, I can't remember the number, 450, 500 cars,
Right.
800 competitors.
So that's cars, trucks, bikes.
Yeah,
quad.
all different.
It must be like an army kind of advancing
It
across.
is, yeah.
Where was it? Saudi Arabia, wasn't it?
Saudi Arabia, yeah. So we landed in Alula. So that was where the bivouac was that day, or for those couple of days. But the setup for 2 days, 2 or 3 days, is like, it felt like Burning Man
Right.
in Nevada. But it was just like for cars, and it was only there for 2 days.
A lot of it's
the scale of it.
inflatable, though, isn't it? Some of the
Yeah. So
areas and things.
a lot of the tents for servicing, they're inflatable, but the number of service vehicles and people involved is just crazy. And it's over, I think this year was 8,000 kilometres.
Right. Yeah.
5,000 miles.
5,000.
It's a good chunk.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, so it's fascinating.
And how remote is it? Does it take like 3 different plane trips and?
It was 2 plane trips for me. Aluli wasn't too bad. Some stops are completely in the middle of nowhere. I mean, if you're doing 5,000 miles across the desert, some places are very remote.
How did you get around? Because if it's pretty extreme.
Yeah, we were there to see Defender and the D7 XR. It's their new stock class competitor. And so we were in road car Defenders.
Were they Octas that you were in, or regular?
Sadly, they weren't. They were standard P400s, but they did the job. We were travelling on routes that hadn't been that weren't planned. So they'd looked on a map and sort of made sure they were reasonable, but they weren't sort of set routes. So we were going up some pretty steep dunes with really deep sand, and they were doing the job in sand mode, of course.
Is it a circle that it travels? It doesn't go from one point to another point. 5,000.
Yeah, so it is a circle. Yeah.
So you get to choose which bit you get to see.
and you can. Yeah, the way the routing and the navigation works is crazy. So I think it's changed over the last few years, but now the drivers are given the navigation markers on their. It's not GPS, but it's like a tablet in the car. 5 minutes before the start of the race, they don't know where they're going before those 5 minutes, and then there are just waypoints.
Yeah.
So between points, you're not told where you need to go. So we went to spectate on top of a dune, which should be fine. It should be safe.
I guess you never know where they're coming.
The drivers don't know where they're going.
Yeah.
They don't know where they need to go. So we were watching cars sort of beneath us in what looked like a reasonable path to the next waypoint. But then we sort of turned around, and there was one of the race trucks behind us.
Oh, wow.
Sort of up like that, where it couldn't see us, because the visibility in these cars is awful. They can't turn their heads because of the headrests and hands. So we all had to sort of stay still, so we didn't get in their way, because no one knows where they're going.
Yeah.
Cars,
But they're going there really fast.
Yeah.
So it's an adventure just to actually watch
to
it.
spectate it, because there are no set spectators points. Feels a bit sketchy, to be honest, but that makes it
There
exciting.
was some footage of someone nearly being hit by a car. That went viral.
Yeah, I can see how that can happen, because there is no set track. There's no set route. And that's
It's a
what
bit
makes Dakar
different
so...
like Baja, isn't it? Because Baja, there's a kind of a defined route. It's just spectators aligning the course, aren't they? But yeah,
How much did the course vary? Was it all sand and dunes, or was there rocky bits and scrub? Or...
I think it is mostly sand in Saudi Arabia. That everywhere we went was sand and dunes.
it looked like there was some
Definitely
sort of
vary.
waddies and stuff, didn't there? Dry river beds and
Yeah,
stuff like that.
well,
One of the defenders.
one of the defenders had a bit of an incident. Yeah, it was really low speed, but because you can't see where you're going and you haven't been there before,
Yeah.
that they went down into sort of a
It just kind of had the really lame sort
and
of
just
fell
roll
over.
onto its side, and it was fine, and they actually finished in a very good position.
Well, that was
But-
Stefan Petterhansel, wasn't it?
Yeah,
He's
he's
won it
just won
a
it.
million times.
Yeah.
on bikes and cars.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this debut of the D7, the new competitor, they're joining this production class, which previously was it just Ford, I think, were the main guys.
Just Toyota.
Or Toyota, sorry.
Yeah, so it's just become really uncompetitive in recent years. It's just the regulations have just become outdated. Toyota were the only real competitor, and everyone was a bit bored of it.
It's going to get really good though, isn't it? I saw some footage of a Toyota come through. It's like, looks pretty good,
Yeah.
but it looked very much like a stock
like a road car.
prepped car going across the desert. And then the next shot was the Defender coming through, and it was like,
The pace, the difference in pace.
holy shit! It was like going to a track day in your 911 and then seeing a GT3 car come through. It was nuts. So that class is gonna be really big, I think, because the top class cars are amazing, but they're not really.
They're not relatable.
They're just
Yeah.
off-road prototypes, aren't they? So
Yeah,
LMP1
they're-
come on. And
They're awesome things, but you just can't relate to them. As someone new to Dakar, and I've never followed Dakar properly in any depth, it's always been surface level. I appreciate it all, and the cars are fascinating, but yeah, the prototypes are quite hard to get your head around. But yeah, seeing a Defender doing a 5,000-mile rally and winning
it
it,
is brilliant marketing. I
really cool.
The only similar thing I've done was the Trans-Siberia Rally,
yes,
which was not at that level, and a lot of it was transit stages. So you started in Moscow and ended in Ulaanbaatar in Mongolia, but that had a similarly sketchy.
it sounded like it was sketchy. Yeah.
You don't know where you're really. Again, you have waypoints, and some of the stages were like tulip diagrams, so it was more like a rally stage. But the thing I'm always impressed at with Dakar is how they can judge just how fast to go on punishing surfaces, because I'd never done anything like that before. So you're sort of feeling your way through and trying to read the road and trying to feel the car, and as soon as I thought, right, I'm going to go quick, I hit a rock and
that's it.
put a hole through the sump, like literally. And you think, how do people go so fast and not completely wreck the car? But I guess it's just
They do.
it's just
experience.
experience, isn't it?
They do occasionally do that, but I suppose the winners don't do it as much
Because you
as
can't
those that lose.
you can't just send it for 5,000 miles, can you? It is going to catch you out at some point. So the ones that can really push it just to the edge but not go over it, that's a real talent, isn't it?
Yeah, but part of winning is being able to repair the car quickly
Yeah.
and efficiently, and having all the
I
parts
suppose
there
it's
and-
accepting the fact that they will
Something will
drag the
happen.
car back
Yeah.
with something snapped
Yeah.
off it, or
And there's one of the stages is 48 hours long, isn't it? It's like an endurance stage with a
they
nice
have
off-
there is an endurance
Yeah.
stage, and it's brutal. I think 500 kilometers rings a bell, but it might be longer than that. So yeah, you don't have much help for quite a distance, and you can. I think if you stop the car and you stop it for 10 minutes, and if anything really bad has happened, then you can call for help, and then you can get external assistance. But otherwise, you're on your own for wheel changes and sort of everyday stuff. It's just down to the co-driver and driver to sort. So yeah,
it's
it's a very cool thing.
It's so punishing, isn't it? When you see the onboard stuff when they're on rough surfaces, they're literally being
I think it
shaken
impacts
to death for,
impacts
for
are up to
12 hours a day, aren't they?
yeah 10G impacts for the Defender,
Really?
and that's not an ultimate
Yeah,
top class
yeah.
car, so
Wow.
pretty serious.
Impressive stuff.
Amazing. What a thing to do.
Yeah. Well, end of this week, we've got a new long-termer just joined the Evo fleet. We've got a GR Yaris.
Of course,
just
because you're
joined.
going to Monte Carlo, aren't you?
Yeah, it's to be a very different rally to head to, so we'll catch up on that next episode, how different it was. But speaking of Toyota, you've been up close and hands-on with the new GR GT, which is one of the most talked about cars, certainly on the internet, in the lead up to its
Definitely on the internet.
appearance.
Yeah, that was a very interesting trip because no one really knew what the car was before the trip. We'd seen the prototypes at Goodwood, and the GT3 car, or what we thought was the GT3 car, on various racetracks. But yeah, to see it uncovered in Japan was very interesting.
They are the absolute masters of that, aren't
Yeah.
they? Of teasing stuff and creating.
They did it very well,
buzz
and
and
the
stuff.
teasers were very minimal. I think there was a Japanese TV advert that was the only real teaser. So that the pictures of people's TV screens were just posted on the internet, and that was the teaser. The car is almost like a previous generation supercar, or almost 2 generations of supercar ago. So it's like an SLS, or it looks a bit like a Dodge Viper.
Yeah.
But the powertrain is almost like a previous generation AMG GT. So it's 4-litre twin turbocharged V8. It is mild hybrid, but it's very mild. You can't run in pure electric mode. Fully rear-wheel drive. And they say that there is no real way for them to make it all-wheel drive if they wanted to in this configuration. So
Well, it looks so low, doesn't it?
yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
There's no room for extra gubbins.
no room. They say at least 641 brake horsepower,
That's healthy.
but it could be a lot more than that.
Yeah.
Over 200 miles an hour. Yeah, it's a proper supercar.
It's a brand new clean sheet car, isn't it? All new engine,
Completely
all
new.
new platform. It's
Yeah.
quite big. It's quite long, isn't it? Longer than an SLS AMG.
Yeah,
for
it's
example.
longer and wider than an SLS. Lower, I believe. It has massive presence.
Are they
It looks-
going to race it?
They are going to race it. Yeah, so I think the real purpose of this car, if it sells well in road car form, and I'm sure they won't complain, but the GT3 car has been launched alongside it. So the GR GT3 is their new GT car, and Akio seems very keen on that being a strong race car. But I think it might come to the N24
Yeah, I was going to say he'll want
quite
to do it.
soon, sooner than we think.
Yeah, because he races himself at the N24 under his Maurizio kind of pseudonym.
Yeah, and his son is doing a lot of racing now.
Right. Yeah.
So we'll probably see him in it at some point.
They were always running LFAs years ago when I was there. It was there'd just be hundreds of immaculately dressed
Yeah.
mechanics in red overalls and baseball hats, and it would come in and they'd check everything, presumably because Toyota was perhaps in it. So not that they wouldn't care if anyone else was in it, but they were absolutely
Super
belt and
careful.
braces with what they did, and they would always clean it as well. And you think, what? But it always went out absolutely immaculate. They certainly go about things in a different way.
But that sounded good. Race spec LFA.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Yeah, they had some there at the reveal event. And Akio was talking about that car. Obviously, it's an awesome car for us. It's a massive unicorn, a race spec LFA, but it didn't perform how they wanted it to perform. And that's why he wants this car to perform well.
It's interesting how far back in time did they sort of push the button on this? How long has it taken to get here? Because it is quite a retro
It is.
feeling thing,
Yeah, it
and
is.
it's appeared at a time when retro is coming back, if you excuse the contradiction.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I'm not sure how long ago they started the project. to be
It's
honest, but
it's a back to basics,
It really is.
thumping, powerful rear drive.
And it feels like something that no one else can make now. Everyone else is sort of suggesting that the industry says you can't make this sort of thing anymore, and now Toyota's going to release a brand new ground-up supercar with a V8 and rear-wheel drive. And
It's funny how Toyota's become kind of the saviour brand for car enthusiasts when 20-odd years ago they were
hot hatches too, with the Yaris and Corolla.
And they're trying different tacks as well. They're not just retro. They're
They've got such scale though, haven't they? I guess they can. Doing that car has a smaller impact on their group.
Yeah.
CO2.
Yeah, where it's a spit in the ocean, isn't it? When you're making millions and millions of hybrid or electric or hydrogen
Yeah.
I think
cars, so that's their reward and our reward, I suppose, isn't it?
Yeah.
That they can do it, and they do.
Yeah.
Still love to do it.
I think it's a combination of that and their chairman being Akio Toyoda.
Yeah,
who
it
likes
comes
to
from the
race.
top down. He's
He's always been
Right.
keen on it. So
Yeah, he's an amazing guy. It's quite something, isn't it? When you see where their involvement, they're dedicated to propping up significant championships, aren't they? So they support WRC. They supported WEC when all the other teams
they stuck
pulled out.
through
They've spent a lot of money in Dakar. They're clearly looking at GT3 racing and club less, the sort of feeder series as well. They're they're unique, I think, aren't they, in their commitment to that kind of thing.
And as you said, John, they're kind of agnostic when it comes to technology.
Yeah, it's
pure electric. They're looking at hybrid, and they're
fuel cell,
hydrogen fuel cells.
Yeah. So
and you've been out with Bosch in Germany.
Yes.
Looking at those very technologies.
Yeah, it seems a long time ago, pre-Christmas, doesn't it? But there was an invite to drive something which the name of it got changed before we went out there. But it was interestingly named Track Beast to start with, which is some very torturous, I think it was like Bosch engineered assist track thing.
Nice.
So it ended up being called Track Performance Assist.
Okay.
Which is quite interesting. It's
less memorable, but also,
TPA.
Yeah.
Sounds like something from the Marvel series, isn't it? So the idea is that you can... The bottom line is you can put anybody in something really, really powerful and send them off around a circuit and they won't crash. It's a combination of knowing what the track is and knowing the capabilities of the car and then letting the car decide when you're on the right line or not, whether you've braked at the right point. So in theory, you could do a whole lap with your foot flat to the throttle, almost like in a computer game or something.
Take a bit of bravery at first.
It does. I can tell you, it does.
I'll put my tinfoil hat on now and be a conspiracy theorist, but it seems like a bit of a Trojan horse to me because it's you can prove things on a track in a safer environment, can't you? But surely it's feeding into an autonomous car technology. Once more of the roads are mapped, then in theory you literally can't break the speed limit. You can't crash. You can't.
Yeah.
So you are still in control, but it's like you've got those 10-pin bowling
the
sausages down the gutter to stop you from crashing.
Yeah, the rails. And it did feel a bit weird. It was, I think you've been to Boxberg, which is Bosch's sort of backyard test track, which is pretty fiddly. Certainly is if you're in a DB11, which I was. And with the system fitted. And you've got a massive screen, so it tells you how close you are to the ideal line. But because you're on a track, you never get a chance to look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's all this great data over
places.
here, but you are literally trying to find your way around a circuit. And it knows where it is on the circuit. It's got this model of the car, and AI has come up with the ideal lap and line. And they've had some, I think they've done about 30 circuits they've mapped at the moment, so they can put a car onto these 30 circuits, and they've taken it around, and they're tell tales of pro drivers who know circuits like the back of the hand going out in the car telling them they could be 0.2 quicker if they just took this other line.
Okay.
And them getting all sniffy and then going out and trying it and finding 0.2.
Right, okay. Yeah.
So there is that. But for me it was odd because it doesn't tell you if you're on the right line. It just tells you if you're accelerating at the wrong point. It will jump in and, as Dickie says, like the rails on a bowling alley, it will not let you get too far.
But presumably if it was fitted to a steer-by-wire car, then it could steer itself as well. So it could just drive itself around.
We'll come on to that steer-by-wire thought later.
There you go.
Thank you very much. You set them up. So it was a little bit frustrating. But you can have, because the car will just brake at the point it knows it needs to brake. So say you're coming down to a hairpin from quite a big speed. It knows when it wants to brake. It knows the capability of the car. Doesn't matter what line you're on, it will start braking. So you get on the brake and you're not quite sure if it's you giving it all the brake or the car just filling in the bit that you haven't pushed, you haven't pressed for.
And then blend out with the brake in a different way and things like that.
That's
as
it.
well.
You're a bit blind to trying to find the right lines and know if it's you. But you can have what they call a co-pilot, which is actually a backseat driver because they use the stereo of the car to give you messages.
God, it's worse.
So it goes, and brake. So that is the point at which you should brake. And you can dial it up or down, so you can have
Does it
limited
shout
power.
at you as well? Like, brake, brake,
No,
what
no,
are you
Do you have
doing?
it shouting at you in German? That'd be brilliant.
Yeah, Nick.
Nine.
I think for what they see as a use for it at the moment is track experiences for manufacturers, because you can put anybody in anything, send them out on the track.
They can drive it.
It's not going to crash. So they get the full experience.
Then
of
they leave the
acceleration.
circuit and fire it off with it.
The first junction.
Flying
Yeah.
everywhere.
So it was weird. But yeah, and interesting at the same time. But to learn the lines, which is what you want, what I want from a circuit, the brake points are one thing, but you want to know that you're on the line, getting the best out of the car. You have to go back and compare your lines with the...
Did you get to sort of do it yourself, as it were, find the line you would choose naturally and then compare that with what the system thought? And was there much of a difference?
Well, you can... we only got one session in the car, and then you get to compare with the ideal and then see how much slower you are, where all the gaps are.
Yeah.
Proper normal data analysis. But that was the frustration. On the screen, that's massive screen to your right, there is like arrows showing whether you're
Well, it
left
just needs
or
a little
right.
head-up display with like a ghost car on Gran Turismo, doesn't it? The arrow, and then you just...
That'd be cool.
Yeah, which is
that.
exactly what I said. And they've tried to use head-up display from that's in the cars, but it doesn't. It's not in the right place for you to hold out.
They go wrong. They just need to replace the windscreen with a huge screen.
Just a massive...
Simulate what's in front of you.
Yeah,
You wouldn't even need to get in the
No,
car.
yeah,
You
you
could
could
do it.
They need it, would you?
you could just stay in the office, couldn't you? So it was interesting, but slightly frustrating. The other thing they had for us to try there was a hydrogen-powered car, which was a sports car, and it wasn't a fuel cell, so you're not using the hydrogen to create electric.
combustion.
It was a combustion engine. In fact, it was the engine that we know quite well, the Nettuno V6.
Yes. The Maserati.
600 horsepower, and it was built into a car. It's built with Ligier, and I think it's the front end of a LMP car, and the
looks
bespoke
crazy.
back end. So it looks a little bit like an old Venturi or something.
Yes. Yeah. Quite wedgy and quite purposeful.
So you get in the car for a couple of laps in the passenger seat. It fires up. It takes a little while to fire up because you've got to. When you stop it, you've got to purge all the lines of hydrogen
Right.
because it leaks. That's what hydrogen does. It finds
Okay.
the best way to get out of anywhere. So you have to purge it. So the engine has to literally run out of fuel, gobble it all up, and then
So it's
there's
like
that.
a Fast and Furious NOS sort of getting out of the bonnet or something.
But that's how you can tell is the hydrogen version rather than anything else, because it sounds just like the regular V6. Sounds
I was going
really
to ask
good.
you, does it sound any different?
Yeah. It just takes a little while to one bank stops and then the other bank stops.
It just sounds like it's running a bit rough,
Yeah.
like it's kind of...
Yeah. So yeah, you get a couple of laps in the car. The car's quite impressive, but that's not what you're there for. You're there for, is it responsive? It just feels like a normal. Yeah, nice engine. I say hydrogen's always 5 years away
Yeah.
because the thing, you can, that's the other thing, you can, when it's running, you just go down and put your face to the exhaust because it's
Is it
all
just water
A
vapour?
little bit of water vapor.
Yeah.
So there's nothing
Quite good for your skin, probably.
by your skin ratio.
It's taken a long time. That's because I can remember. I remember the exact year, but it must be well over 10 years ago. Between 10 and 15 years ago, Aston Martin had a Rapide. They ran a Rapide race car at Nürburgring, the N24, and that ran on dual fuel. So it had a hydrogen tank, so they could do 2 laps
On
of Nordschleife, and then it would switch to
Yeah,
gasoline,
yeah.
and that went like an absolute rocket because it was a Rapide and it didn't have wings, so
Yeah.
it was overtaking all the GT3 cars. There, straight Chris Porritt in it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was.
Yeah.
It seemed like quite refined, almost ready to go technology. But whether there's the appetite to do it or the infrastructural issues, or
That's always the thing. It's yes, the car will run on hydrogen just as it would run on petrol. You can optimize it for hydrogen and get more power. This was, I think, 600 horsepower. You can optimize it, but it's how you get the fuel to the car. This is always the thing, and how much you can actually carry.
In the car, yeah.
Because unless it's properly compressed,
it takes up a lot of space, doesn't it? Unless it's under very high pressure.
Yeah, and minus 273
or
degrees.
it's in liquid form, but
Yeah,
that doesn't work for the road. So.
Yeah, so this is always a thing. I think BMW did a 7 Series. They built a limited run, but you could not leave the car in the garage over the weekend and not use it, because the garage would be filled with hydrogen bugs. But this is the thing. I think if hydrogen does get a foothold, it will be for fixed journeys. So you fill a truck with hydrogen at one end of the journey, take it somewhere, it's
sort of depot
depleted.
to depot kind of thing.
And then you do the same thing back again. The idea that you go to a petrol station and fill up like we do currently with hydrogen is years and years away, I think.
It's so complicated, isn't it? Because I know there's a use case for EV, there's a use case for hybrid, but actually there's so much inertia around even making a small pivot towards those things that it feels like it's always the path of least resistance is to or maybe should be to stick with gasoline and put all the effort into making it more efficient.
Sustainable.
It just seems like such a mountain to climb, whether it's creating the infrastructure for an EV charging network or finding ways of using hydrogen or the limitations of its use. So maybe it does work brilliantly for trucks, and it clearly works better for trucks than trying to haul 30 tons of load around with a battery-powered truck with 30 tons of batteries in it as well.
Or buses or something with a fixed route where you can predict how much you're going to use.
Collection and all that kind of stuff, which is generally in cities anyway, which is where the emissions are more critical.
And I think that the other thing about it is because it uses all current ICE technology, which has come to has been refined over however many years since we first had combustion engines. To suddenly stop all of that is, giving a big opportunity to people who are piling on the EV wagon and making them cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. And, you can kill the whole motor industry in Europe by pivoting completely to EV.
Yeah.
And I think that's being recognised now in lots of different ways. But and it drove just like you would expect it to. It's a very nice car.
It's very cool. Alpine have tried. They've looked at hydrogen quite a lot. I don't know if they're scaling that back now. I have heard that they might not be pushing it quite as hard as they were.
A few things on the plate at the moment.
Yeah. But they were. Was it the Alpenglow?
Alpenglow,
yeah. And they ran a concept at Le Mans, and it was flying. It wasn't sort of a rolling concept with an electric motor. It was a combustion powered hydrogen race car, basically. And I think there is scope for that in motorsport.
Yeah.
Because you could run liquid hydrogen in race cars, because you could compress it down in a 2-hour stint and then refuel it in a pit stop, and it wouldn't have time to off gas.
Evaporate. Yeah. But that there is a class coming at Le Mans, and I think Toyota is supporting that.
Yeah, of course.
For an LMP H hydrogen class.
There's long been a plan for the Garage 56, the experimental entry, to have a hydrogen.
I think it should be.
Yeah, I think, as you say, it's always just around the corner.
Yeah, 5 years away. It's always 5 years away.
But really exciting.
A bit like Copy.
And the Capri, which we can talk about in another.
Yeah, let's talk about that in a bit, shall we?
But from looking forward to the future, you've been driving a car it's a new car, but it looks to the past.
Antidote to all that modern nonsense. So again, just before Christmas or November time, we had the opportunity to drive something quite unusual, actually. A completely new company, completely new car called a Nichols N1A, which is sort of an homage to a McLaren M1A Can-Am car, so the first true McLaren competition car. So the recipe is very similar. So it's it's like Elise sized or slightly smaller, with a 700 horsepower, 7-litre LS Chevy engine. It's mated to a slightly modified but Audi R8 manual box. So you can imagine the feel and open gate. So it's appropriate for the car. It's a really the structure. It's a really interesting project, actually, because you think, it'll be a regular tub or a space frame or maybe carbon fibre or something, but it's actually uses the same bonded extrusions and aluminium technology that the original Elise was constructed from, and it was done by the brilliantly named Bob Mustard.
Whoa.
Who was
Was it from Norfolk?
he was he was behind that technology because that came from Land Rover originally, and they were looking for a proof of concept, which is how the Elise ended up being built in that way. So it's a nice full circle. The Nichols name comes from Steve Nichols, who designed the McLaren MP4, so famously won 15 of its 16 Grand Prix that year. And the kind of quiet hero behind it all is a guy called John Minette, who's a fascinating bloke. He kind of backed the project, and it was his sort of passion really to realise a back to basics but quite advanced sports car. And his background is really interesting, and they know loads of interesting people within sort of Motorsport Valley. And he looked at buying TVR from Nikolai Smolensky and then quickly ran. I think all the backing was there, and then quickly ran away from it when they did a bit more due diligence. So yes, it's a car with real credentials, and it looks amazing.
Yeah, it really looks like a sort of Can-Am.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. Very simple, old school looking thing. Composite body. It's £500,000.
Oh.
Which is
How much is an original one of those? That sort of.
I don't know. Can-Am cars are always, you sort of think they should be worth more than they are, but I think they tend to frighten people off, and that there aren't the opportunities to race. There are, but they're not an easy thing to find an excuse for, really. But it's a beautiful thing. They're doing a limited run of the spec that I drove, so Icon 88, which references the 88 season for the MP44 successes, and then they'll roll the car out with a choice of engine options.
Okay. So you don't have to have the full 700 horsepower Monty.
I mean, it's going to be pretty monstrous.
Quite
whatever.
spicy.
It's 900 kilos or just under.
Traction control.
There is, but it's a sort of motorsport system.
Oh, nice.
So it was so exciting. We drove it in south of France. Drove it on the road as well briefly, but we just joined them. They were doing more than a shakedown, a sort of development run really to work on some suspension settings, and they swapped it to some new brakes, carbon brakes. So they were trying to get a feel for how they responded. So it was really trusting of them to let us in the car and drive it in that state. But I was sort of expecting it to be quite raw. It needs a lot more work to get it to work, but they're very close to having it in a really nice place, I think, and as a car that you could clearly it's going to be part of a collection of lots of other things, but it's so exciting to get in it.
And in my head, a car that's the size of an Elise but has 700 horsepower sounds terrifying. But was it actually quite drivable?
It's got a choice of engine maps.
Okay.
So there's a button with 11 on it. So you turn it up to 11, and that gives you the full 700 horsepower.
Right.
And the map below that is around about half that. So and they're thinking of whether they have more increments or whether the baseline is a little bit more power, so it's less of a step. But it's actually quite mild-mannered in the lower power.
Yeah, I guess
mode.
It's quite a nice smooth delivery. It's quite
a huge amount of torque, so it's an effortless thing to drive down the road, and then it's very, very angry when it's got 700 horsepower. But it's a beautiful thing. It's on throttle bodies, so you've got the trumpets and the mesh covers, and this curvy sort of low perspex screen, so you're kind of tucked in this car. And I have actually driven an M1A, and it was very, very reminiscent of that when you get in it and you're sat low, and the front, it's a very curvy 60s shape. The way the front wheel arches come up, you sort of feel like you're sat almost lower than the tops of the body. It's like
That's
nothing
really cool.
like nothing else really. So I wish them well. They're still doing some development, sort of refinements on some suspension settings.
And then sort of later this year with customers.
There'll be some early customers that have sort of supported the project for a number of years will be the first to get their cars. Company, they were at Pebble Beach last year, I think, and they took 1 or 2 orders there because obviously there's a connection to Can-Am in the States, and people probably appreciate those cars more than anywhere else. So I think it'll be a slow burn in terms of how they get the car out there, but I think because you don't really know much. You know some of the characters involved, but you don't know anything about them as engineers. What they've put together. I wasn't quite sure how resolved the car was going to be, but it's
sounds like it's real substance.
Beautifully finished. They were using a company called Atelier Special Vehicles, which is down sort of Petersfield. So I think they do a lot of paint work and body work for Lanzanti, and so they're used to working on some really special project stuff. So they've helped them get the first cars built, but there will be a production facility where they'll build the cars. Really interesting thing. It's nice to drive something that you have no preconceived ideas, and then it surprises you by kind of being everything you hoped, but then more in the areas where they maybe could cut some corners. I'm hopeful that it'll be at 1 or 2 of the Evo track days in the summer at Goodwood. So
that'd be fantastic. Right. Goodwood's a good setting for it as well.
Yeah, perfect. So hopefully we'll have it there and you can have a try of it.
Well, let's take that moment to have a little quick break, maybe open the biscuits, and then we'll be back in a moment. Welcome back to the Evo podcast, and in the second half we're going to chat about a very special Bugatti, which I went out to see in Germany again just before Christmas. So Bugatti have this new Solitaire program where they make these one-of-one cars for special clients. They've done one so far, the Brouillard, which was this incredible kind of green hypercar that they did last year. This is the second one they've done. They're only ever going to do 2 a year. Some years they may do none, some years they may do 1. They'll do a maximum of 2. And this one's called the F.K.P. Homage. So F.K.P. stands for Ferdinand Karl Piëch, because it's partly a tribute to him, the late VW Group kind of overlord and famous engineer. And it's also a tribute to the original Veyron, because it's 20 years since the Veyron came out. And from a distance, it kind of looks a lot like a Veyron.
It really does.
Yeah.
We're going to pop a picture up, aren't we?
Yeah. We should show something so people at home can see what it looks like.
It's the same original colour scheme.
That's right.
Yeah, the launch colour.
The red and black. They said that was the first customer car, so they wanted it to kind of echo that as closely as they could. And in a weird way, it's kind of a Veyron facelift that never was, because Frank Hale, the current design director at Bugatti Rimac, when he joined back in 2008, one of the first projects he worked on was a facelift for the Veyron, which then never went into production.
So he reached in the drawer.
Yeah, dug out the old sketches. So this car's kind of a mixture of some of the ideas that were on the table back then when he did that, and then some of the stuff that's become possible since with modern technology, modern lights, modern things like the panel gaps and the creases in the bodywork.
Yeah,
so
crease line.
Precise, and the finish of the carbon fibre, the paint has this special tint, so it sort of looks almost black in places in the shadows, and then it's this really rich red.
It's a great time to do it, isn't it? Because the Veyron looks better and better.
I think it
sort of seems strangely underwhelming when they first.
Well, it was never very supercar looking, really, was it? It was,
but it's very really classy now. Isn't it?
Really
classy looking thing.
It's almost got, because Frank, the design director, was explaining when the Veyron came out, most supercars have got, you can almost draw a diagonal line from sort of the top to the bottom of them. They're all kind of charging forwards. They're this kind of wedgy distance. And the Veyron, it's almost like it's leaning back a little bit because it's got that curvy.
Yeah, the big horseshoe grille.
Yeah. So we wanted to keep that stance for this car. But the original, it's got that slightly kind of downturned eyes. It almost looks a little bit sad almost.
Yeah.
So this one, it's got DRLs, which obviously weren't around then, the daytime running light LED graphics. They give it a bit more of a horizontal kind of defiant expression.
A bit more like a Chiron.
Yeah, which, funnily enough, is exactly what it is underneath. So it's a Chiron.
So it's
so
a
running
backdated
gear.
Chiron.
Yeah.
But the
it's-
Chiron is essentially the same mechanical package anyway.
It is
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
He said the hard points on the Chiron platform are very, very similar to that other Veyron because, you know, it evolved from the Veyron anyway. So the engines from the Chiron Super Sports, which also was in the Mistral, which he drove a few months back.
Yeah, in the rain.
Yeah, you had perfect conditions
40
for
miles
it.
an hour.
Yeah, with the roof up.
We'll come back to that as well, won't we? In another podcast.
Bit of a theme. So yeah, 1600 PS, which is about 600 horsepower more than the original Veyron had. So they've had to find ways to get
It's the same
more
as the Chiron.
air in. Yeah,
It is. It's
And
Chiron.
dynamically, it would be the car we kind of hope the Veyron would have
Yes.
been, because
Yeah.
the Veyron was quite inert, wasn't it? And very kind of contained and
Yes.
restrained, or sort of mirror the way it looks. And Chiron was a bit more,
yeah. This has
had a
got
bit more feel and agility and
Yeah.
energy about it. So
this has got the same 4-wheel drive system from the Chiron, and obviously modern drivetrain tech, modern tyres. It's on Michelin Cup 2 tyres. They wouldn't disclose a top speed, but we can assume it's quite fast because it still has a speed key to unlock the top speed, which on the Veyron was famously 400 kilometres an hour. So we can assume it does at least that.
Well, with that horsepower,
Yeah,
You
it's-
probably
yeah,
should be
and,
manageable.
and it has active aero, which the original Veyron didn't. So
well, it did. At the
yeah,
back.
The rear
yeah, so
wing,
yeah,
But
yeah,
not-
the original,
nowhere
but
else.
not to the same degree.
Yeah.
And it's balanced at the front this time. So yeah, it's
So, are you saving up for it? How
well.
much?
The other thing they wouldn't disclose is the price because that's a matter between Bugatti and the clients naturally.
so did they say whether it's like a sort of Field of Dreams thing, if they build it and then they find a client, or does the client come to them with an idea and
Yeah,
they build
because
it
I
for
saw
them?
Yes.
I saw the Brouillard at the
Yes.
factory the last time I was there.
Yeah.
And it's pretty special, but it's a very individual thing.
Yes.
Little
yeah.
horse logos here and there. And
Yeah.
Because the PX thing feels more like something they've done, and then someone's come in and said, "Oh, that's that one."
Yeah, it's a bit of both. So they were explaining that this scheme is kind of oversubscribed. They have more applicants for it than they have spaces to make cars.
Of course they
yeah, there's a lot of billionaires in there.
Yeah, they need to
aren't there?
charge more.
Yeah. So it's I think with this in this case it was two ideas that neatly aligned together. I don't know how much conversation there was, but I think the client had the idea of the Veyron and the Piac homage, but also it tied in very neatly with 20 years since the Veyron was released, so it kind of worked well for both parties. And I think there's a bit of back and forth between the company and the client as to what's right for the brand as well as the client.
It's appropriate for Bugatti's history as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because a lot of their cars they would provide the chassis and then the owner would have them coach built.
And as you say, going back to Ettore and Jean Bugatti, that's what they did. They had existing chassis and running gear, and then they do a bespoke body to go on the top. It's interesting because Ferrari has done one-offs in the past, and speaking to people at Maranello, they're amazing projects, but they take a lot of manpower and a lot of resource. And it's the same with this car. There's about 50 designers at Bugatti, and all of them worked on this project. So it does take everyone.
I think a few, they're all quietly working on these things, aren't they? The Rockfellers boat tail
Yes.
famously,
Yeah.
absolutely extraordinary amounts of money, aren't they? Which I just can't get my head around. But clearly they can pay for as many design studio hours as they need, can't they?
Yeah.
Um,
And it's potentially an investment as well if this thing, it's going into a collection presumably, and down the line if it builds up some notoriety.
I think they surface, don't they? They tend to go into a
Yeah.
re-election, and then 10 years later they'll find another owner, and then they disappear, go off the radar again, don't they?
Yeah.
Which is part of the mystique of these things, I guess.
Yeah, and it's kind of worth what you're prepared to pay for it, I guess.
I think in that league it is, isn't it? You only need two billionaires that want the same car, and it just goes nuts.
Yeah.
So
And when the Veyron first came out, personalisation wasn't really a thing. There was something like 18 colours, and that was kind of it. And then over its life,
nowadays.
yeah, that changed.
They're all unique, aren't they?
Yeah, but by the end of its run, they said they had needed 2 production slots per car by the end because the personalisation requests were getting so extreme that it would take twice as long to make the car. So this is almost the ultimate extrapolation of that.
Yeah.
And is that car assembled in Molsheim where they assemble the other cars?
So the car that we photographed was actually a model, a very, very detailed full-scale model. So the real thing is still being built. It will be finished shortly. But yeah, back in the real world, we've been doing a lot of driving in the rain, all of us. And Sam, you and I were driving 2 special German cars.
Yeah, that was a good test.
So the cover story of the issue that's, I think depending on timing, is just about still on sale when this goes out, as we went back in time to drive the BMW M5 CS from a couple of years ago and the Audi RS6 GT, as they're both kind of feel cut from the same cloth. They're kind of both limited run. The Audi limited to a certain number of cars, but then the BMW was kind of limited by time. It was only in production for a short time, and both kind of special, give the engineers everything.
Well, they were both unexpectedly good, weren't they? Because it came from cars which we kind of respected but hadn't really lust after.
Yeah, they hadn't. Well, the BMW hadn't quite got there at all, had it?
No.
It was quite frustrating actually, because they kept producing different models, and then this one appeared.
It seemed to get further and further away from what an M5 should be, didn't it? And then
it's a different car.
I distinctly remember thinking, bloody ridiculous thing, 4 bucket seats in an M5. Well, it's going to, and fixed rate damper. It's going to be terrible. And then you drive it, and it's amazing.
Yeah, I remember driving it. It was car of the year. We were in Scotland, just down from Glenshee, I think. And there's a bit of road that goes down the hill, and it goes really technical, really difficult. And I drove it over that bit, and I thought, okay, well, that's the winner then. It was just absolutely spot on.
Yeah,
Does it still feel that good?
Yeah, I'm happy to report it still feels really special. Yeah, within the first sort of roundabout, actually, at the end of the road here.
It's amazing,
out of Evo Towers. It already... because, I was working at another magazine when it came out, but drove it. It would have been around the same time you guys did. And I remember, exactly the same thing. It was came at it with no real expectation.
It seemed like such a weird thing to do to me. But then it's so right when you
strange
drive it.
That's at a car. But it does just work.
Yeah.
It feels so sophisticated. The RS6, though.
Yeah, also,
I hadn't driven the RS6 GT, and I know everyone here says it's a great car, but blimey, it is
that's
really
special thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't really like the standard RS6. It would be an amazing daily driver if you could afford the fuel bill. Mm-hmm. But as a driver's car, I'm not too. The cars I've driven, the standard RS6, it feels like a big, heavy car.
It's trying quite hard, isn't it?
It is.
Sort of makes heavy weather of stuff it should. Just it feels a bit heavy.
The ride can get
the wheels are slightly too big and.
Yeah,
but it does ride remarkably well, the standard car.
It does. It does,
considering the size of the wheels.
But the GT is like another
step on,
thing.
isn't it?
It's just like another level on.
This is the full decal kit.
Yes.
Walter Wells.
This was the
tracksuit wardrobe from 1980, isn't it?
It's embarrassing enough on an S1, wasn't it? But I mean,
in years to come, it will be the car, though, won't it? At the sort of Bicester Scramble 2050.
You've got the white wheel.
What, like the Tommy Mac and an Evo and still?
Yeah, it's got those vibes.
Yeah. 80-year-old first owners there thinking he's been ridiculed for
all these years.
All these years.
My time has come.
We'll get it now.
Yeah. Because we drove to Wales for the shoot from here in Bedfordshire, and it turned so many heads on the road.
Not enough rain here.
Yeah, well, we
found some rain.
Yeah. Well, we also discovered the BMW's tyres were 4 years old, which is why it had no grip at all in the West.
That wouldn't help.
Yeah.
But the RS6 we stopped at a service station, and it was the RS6 was parked amongst a load of vans, transits, and the way the decals, the sort of lower bottom half of the front grille is all black, and it really exaggerates the width of the RS6, and it just looked bloody awesome, man.
It looked like it
really
shouldn't
cool.
be there. It looked like it had escaped
Slightly
from a motor
embarrassing.
show stand.
Yeah, in some contexts, a bit embarrassing, but looks great.
It's funny because you were driving behind me on the motorway, and I could see other drivers' reactions to it in the mirror. I could see other drivers' heads
it's
sort
like you're
of
in a
swiveling and doing double takes. And
They seem to be waving at you a lot.
Yeah, it might have been some of that as well.
I got that as well, funny enough, in the PNC.
So would the M5 CS be any better if they'd done a touring? I know they didn't do a touring in that generation, but everyone is obsessed with M5 tourings, aren't they? But then seemingly whenever they put them for sale, no one buys them. So it's like a motoring journalist fetish.
It's the same with XFR. You get an estate version of that, but nobody wanted that either.
Rare.
And it's like the manual F-Type.
And yet the Audi is. I get why people like the long roof M5s, but an M5 in my head is always a saloon.
Yeah.
But RS6, and they're always, big RS Audi is always an estate.
Yeah. And there is something still just right about the CS. I mean, the gold grille at the time looked a bit gauche. Now in 2026, it doesn't look that crazy anymore, and it looks, the stance and the way the arches just sort of blister. Just
it is quite understated though.
Yeah,
it does have the gold bits, but it is quite.
Yeah,
I mean, next to the RS6,
well, compared to a new M5 as well.
Or a new M5,
it's satin, isn't it, or frost or whatever they describe it.
Yeah, I'm not too keen on that
finish.
Yeah, I think it was only available in 2 colours, and they were both that frosted finish.
And I'm sure they're worth a fortune now, aren't they?
I was having a look. Yeah, I think they're worth. You're looking at. What was it now? I'm trying to remember, because obviously I immediately went onto the internet to try and see how much they cost for my imaginary lottery garage, and they're worth. It's more than 100 grand. They're worth, I think, about 120 from memory.
Yeah, they're not overlist.
Yeah,
price though, which you'd kind of think they would be. But how many did they make?
It was. I think it was only made for less than 2 years. So and I don't know how many came to the UK. And the Audi also is worth more or less what it costs new, I think. It sort of just hasn't depreciated. And kind of the same with the M5 CS. I think it's worth roughly what it cost when it first came out.
You'd still have one, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, my lottery garage has got an M5 CS.
Yeah, I mean, that compared
space.
to the... I know we give the current M5 a bit of a kicking, don't we? But they're absolute worlds apart, aren't they?
Not the same.
Absolute worlds apart now, those cars.
Yeah.
That was the one thing. It felt... Driving both cars, sort of found myself hoping they're not sort of, that's the high point for now, and it'll be a while before they.
It's kind of as good as they're going to get, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sadly, because they're stuck in this sort of enormous step up in weight and torque and complexity, aren't they? Whereas those cars are stripped back versions of previous gen cars that were already a lot more simple anyway. So they're just refreshing things to drive, aren't they? I know we sound like broken records with all this, but there is something nice about getting in a car and accepting it for what it is, don't you? You're more prepared to accept compromises when you know it does certain things
and although
effortlessly, brilliantly, and you're not forever fiddling and faddling around.
Although they both had lots of driving modes, they still felt very analog and very kind of true, and both still very good at just being normal cars. As well.
Great for the drive to Wales.
Well, from great cars of the recent past back to great cars of now. Next episode, we're going to be talking about the Ferrari 849 Testarossa. Which
Sam and I and Aston were out on that. Which was typically Ferrari launch, but
you survived it.
And typically fascinating car.
Yeah, so it'd be great to hear about that in depth, and we've got loads more to discuss too. But in the meantime, thank you, John. Thank you, Sam. Thank you,
Thanks,
Dickie.
James. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.